Chosen one, pause for a moment because something sacred is happening right now. This message has found you at the exact second heaven intended. This isn't coincidence. This isn't randomness. This is a divine interruption, a spiritual appointment for the one who obeyed in silence, who remained faithful in darkness, who held on even when everything around you tried to break you. You are here because heaven has shifted, and the angels assigned to your destiny have begun to lift you. You have walked through nights that seemed endless. You have carried battles no one else knew you were fighting. You have bled internally while appearing strong on the outside. And yet, even in the moments when you could have compromised, you did not. When you could have walked away, you stayed. When you could have chosen bitterness, you chose righteousness. That obedience, offered in secret, became the loudest sound in the spirit realm. In the dark, when you felt unseen, heaven was watching. When you felt forgotten, you were being recorded. When you walked through spiritual fire, thinking there was no witness, every angel around your life saw your endurance. You didn't just survive the darkness, you obeyed in it. And that obedience has now triggered a heavenly response. Listen carefully. The darkness you endured was not a punishment. It was a proving ground. It was the place where your character was forged, your discernment sharpened, your spirit disciplined. The very moments you thought were breaking you were actually shaping you into a vessel that heaven could trust. And because you remained faithful when no one was applauding, heaven is now rewarding you in ways no one can ignore. You might feel a quiet shift inside you as stirring, a soft awakening, an internal light beginning to glow again. That is not wishful thinking. That is the evidence that the angelic realm around you has activated. You are being lifted out of heaviness, out of cycles, out of stagnation, out of spiritual fog. The shadows that tried to cling to you are losing their grip. A new season is not coming. It has begun. And now, over your life, hear this holy declaration, fresh, powerful, and appointed specifically for you. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. This is not merely a comforting line, it is a proclamation. It is heaven's reminder that the battles you fought alone were never truly fought alone. God was defending you in moments you didn't even know danger was near. God was covering you when darkness thought it had you surrounded. God was working on your behalf when you felt like you were losing strength. And now, God Himself is clearing the path before you. Chosen one, even in your weakest hours, heaven saw the strength you didn't realize you carried. Every moment you kept walking, even while trembling, became a testimony written into your spiritual record. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every silent victory is now returning to you as divine elevation and supernatural favor. You were shaped in hidden fire so you could carry visible glory. The pressure that surrounded you was only preparing the oil within you. Darkness tried to break you, but instead it revealed your identity. Now your spirit carries a weight of authority that can no longer be ignored or silenced. Every room you step into will feel the shift of who you've become. Light follows you now, not because life is suddenly easy, but because you survived the crushing without losing your purity. Heaven trusts you with influence, and the angels walk beside you to ensure nothing steals what was promised. Chosen one, this rise is permanent. This lifting is intentional. This transition is holy. Nothing from your past season can drag you backward. What God has activated in you now marks the beginning of a journey where your steps are guided, your path illuminated, and your destiny accelerated by divine order. Chosen one. The lifting has begun. The shift is real. The light is rising. This moment is not inspiration, it is alignment with your divine timeline. You are stepping into a season where clarity, favor, and supernatural lifting will surround you like a mantle. Feel this truth settling into your spirit. You obeyed in the dark. You stayed faithful in silence. And now the angels are lifting you into light. Before you move on, seal this moment with a prophetic act. Comment the number 111 below as a sign that you step boldly into the light heaven has prepared for you. If this message resonates in your spirit, like, share, and subscribe so you do not miss the next word heaven releases over your life. You move forward from the moment heaven awakened you. And as you step into this next unfolding, a deeper truth begins to rise within your spirit. Your unseen tests were never unnoticed. Every hidden sacrifice, every quiet, yes, every painful moment of choosing obedience over ease has been counted, measured, and recorded in the archives of heaven. You didn't realize it then, but you were being observed with a holy attentiveness, not by people, not by the world, but by the one who weighs the heart and examines intention. There were nights when you had to choose integrity, even when it cost you opportunities. Moments when you had to walk away from things that glittered but weren't aligned with your calling. Times when you stayed still, not because you lacked desire, but because the Spirit whispered, "Not yet." Those were tests, quiet tests, hidden tests, the kind that do not come with applause, but with deep spiritual promotion. And you passed them. You passed tests that were designed to expose your motives. You passed tests that revealed whether you valued God's timing more than your own impatience. You passed tests that shaped the purity of your character, the resilience of your spirit, and the sharpness of your discernment. These were not surface-level trials. These were heart-level examinations. Heaven looked upon you not to find perfection, but to see whether your loyalty would withstand pressure. And chosen one, it did. You held on when compromise would have been easier. You forgave when bitterness tried to anchor itself to your soul. You stayed anchored when storms tried to sweep you away. What others dismissed as just life were actually spiritual calibrations proving what was inside you. You must understand this now. Obedience that is easy carries no weight. But obedience that costs you, obedience done in silence, in uncertainty, in weariness, becomes a weapon, a testimony, a spiritual credential. It marks you, it distinguishes you, it identifies you as one whom heaven trusts. And that is why your unseen tests mattered. There were moments when the enemy expected you to break, when he whispered lies in the dark, hoping you would fold under pressure, when he placed temptation in your path, believing you would fall, when he tried to distort your vision, your faith, your identity. But every time you resisted, even while trembling, you weakened his grip. Every time you chose God's voice over the noise, you advanced. Every time you refused to bow, heaven recorded your victory. You see, spiritual promotion doesn't happen in public places. It happens in private rooms where your heart is the only witness, That is where destiny is shaped. That is where crowns are forged. That is where heaven decides who can carry more and who must remain where they are. The truth is, chosen one, you were being watched, not with judgment, but with anticipation. Heaven knew what you were capable of before you did. The tests were never designed to destroy you. They were meant to reveal you. They exposed your depth, your loyalty, your endurance. And because you stood firm, God is now entrusting you with things that require a purified character and a proven spirit. In your quiet obedience, you demonstrated something the world rarely sees anymore: unwavering devotion. You didn't cling to God because life was easy. You clung to Him because you knew He was the only constant in a world full of shadows. And that, in itself, became the evidence heaven needed to lift you into a greater measure of light. Now, as you move through this section of your journey, remember this sacred truth. The prophetic voice of Jeremiah spoke in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 10. I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways. These words echo through your story. God examined your heart in the dark seasons, not to expose your weakness, but to reveal your faithfulness. And now, the reward is unfolding. The shift is not random. It is the direct result of the quiet victories you didn't even realize were victories. Chosen one, reflect for a moment on the weight of that truth. Think of the times you walked away from what wasn't meant for you. The times you protected your purity, your integrity, your spirit. The times you humbled yourself, even though pride demanded the final word. The times you whispered prayers when your voice was barely more than a breath. All of it mattered. All of it shifted something in heaven. And now, heaven is shifting something around you. Your unseen tests have produced visible transformation. The hidden battles have equipped you for public elevation. The silent obedience has birthed spiritual authority. You are being positioned not because of chance, but because of proven faithfulness. Chosen one, walk forward with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that heaven saw everything, and now heaven is responding. You move onward, chosen one. And as this next layer of revelation unfolds around you, a truth you've long felt but never fully understood begins to settle deep within your spirit. Heaven has been watching your quiet steps. Long before your eyes ever recognized the movement of light around your path, every decision you made when nobody was applauding, every choice rooted in integrity rather than impulse, every moment when your soul whispered, "I choose what is right, even if it costs me," all of it carried a spiritual weight far greater than you ever imagined. There were hours when you walked through shadows that seemed to swallow your confidence. You questioned whether your life held meaning, whether God still saw you, whether your quiet obedience mattered. But what you didn't realize was that each unseen step echoed in eternity. Every hidden act of faith shifted the battlefield in your favor. Your quiet steps were not small, they were seismic. Think back to the nights when you stood at spiritual crossroads, when you felt the pull of temptation, the lure of compromise, the exhaustion of doing good while receiving nothing in return. You kept choosing light. You kept choosing righteousness. You kept choosing God. And while you thought nobody was watching, heaven was leaning in. Angels were standing around you, silent but attentive, observing how you moved when the world offered you shortcuts, distractions, and illusions. Your quiet steps carried a fragrance of obedience that rose like incense to the throne of God. And it is in these quiet steps, these ordinary moments filled with extraordinary faithfulness, that the true strength of the chosen is revealed. Because anyone can obey when rewarded. Anyone can walk in righteousness when praised. But only a soul refined in divine fire can obey in obscurity. Only a spirit marked by heaven can walk straight when darkness whispers detours. Only someone chosen can keep the path, even when the path feels lonely. Chosen one. Heaven saw the way you protected your heart, the way you guarded your mind, the way you refused to let bitterness stain your spirit, even when life handed you reasons to break. These were not just moral actions, they were spiritual victories. Victories that terrified the enemy. Victories that strengthened your angelic covering. Victories that unlocked favor you haven't even seen yet. You didn't walk perfectly, but you walked faithfully. And that faithful walk in hidden places became a declaration, my steps may be quiet, but they belong to God. I pray. That is why heaven has begun unveiling new paths before you. That is why clarity is returning. That is why your spirit feels more awake than before. What you thought were ordinary steps were actually prophetic alignments. And now, those unseen steps are leading you into a season where visibility, blessing, and divine orchestration will surround you. In this moment, listen to the ancient words that echo directly into your story. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Let that sentence settle inside you. The Lord establishes your steps, your path, your journey, not random, not wasted, not forgotten. God Himself has been ordering your movements, even the ones you thought were mistakes, even the detours that felt like delays, even the seasons where you felt directionless. Heaven was not just watching your quiet steps, it was guiding them. Chosen one. The path ahead of you is illuminated now, not because you suddenly became worthy, but because you proved trustworthy in the hidden parts of the journey. Heaven rewards faithfulness, and you have been faithful even when tired, discouraged, unseen, and misunderstood. Your quiet steps have brought you to a divine threshold, and now, as a prophetic act of alignment, I want you to anchor this truth in your spirit by writing a declaration below. Keep it under 4 words, simple but powerful. Your phrase for this section is, I choose light. Write it beneath this message, not for me, not for others, but as a spiritual marker, as a symbol that you acknowledge the path God has established for you, as a declaration that even in hidden steps, you will continue to walk in light, as a reminder to heaven, earth, and your own soul that your journey is guided from above. Chosen one. The path you walk is holy. The steps you've taken were not small, and the steps ahead will be filled with even greater glory. As you continue forward, chosen one, the atmosphere around your journey begins to shift in ways you can finally feel. It is subtle at first, an unusual calm in the spaces that once felt heavy, a sense of clarity rising from places that had been clouded, a stirring in the unseen that whispers, something is moving on your behalf. This is not imagination. This is not emotional fluctuation. This is the first evidence that the angels assigned to your destiny have begun to stir around you. For a long time, It felt like you were walking through life with spiritual weight tied to your ankles. You pushed. You prayed. You endured. Yet the resistance seemed endless. But what you did not know was that heaven was preparing an orchestration far greater than anything you could perceive. There is always movement in the unseen before manifestation in the natural. And now, that heavenly movement is drawing near, drawing closer, drawing into alignment with the path beneath your feet. There are moments when you feel a strange peace that wasn't there before. Moments when your spirit senses activity even though your physical eyes see nothing. Moments when the atmosphere around you feels watched, guarded, protected. That sensation is not anxiety, it is angelic nearness. You are beginning to perceive what has been assigned to you all along: divine guardianship, spiritual reinforcement, heavenly presence. The angels have been watching, waiting for the instruction, listening for the command of God's voice over your life. And now the orders have been released. You have crossed the threshold from endurance into elevation, from silent obedience into divine intervention. The angels move because they respond to God's timing, not human timelines. And heaven has decided that the time is now. Chosen one. You must understand that angels are not merely symbolic figures or poetic metaphors. They are warriors. They are messengers. They are protectors carrying out assignments with precision and power. When God speaks a word over your life, angels move instantly to enforce it. When God declares a shift, angels rearrange circumstances to make room for what is coming. When God commands your lifting, no darkness can stall their arrival. The stirring around you is the sign that heaven is rearranging the landscape of your life. There were places where you once felt spiritual interference. Those places are being cleared. There were areas where confusion tried to settle. Those areas are being illuminated. There were doors that remained stubbornly shut. Those doors are now under heavenly inspection. Every attack that once came easily toward you now finds resistance. Every lie whispered against you finds no place to land. Every assignment of darkness is intercepted before it reaches your mind or spirit. This is what happens when angels step into movement. You may feel an unusual pressure lifting off your shoulders, as if something invisible is being removed. You may notice a quiet strength rising within you. Even on days when you feel physically tired, you may perceive moments where your thoughts suddenly align with clarity. Your steps feel steadier. Your decisions come with peace instead of hesitation. All these are signs of angelic proximity. The angels do not replace your journey, they reinforce it. They do not walk the path for you, they walk beside you. They do not silence the storms, but they ensure the storms no longer silence you. Chosen one. The spiritual world recognizes the shift in your life even before you fully comprehend it. Demons feel the disturbance. Darkness senses the loss of access. The enemy understands that you are no longer walking unguarded. The stirring of angels is an announcement that your life is now under a different measure of divine protection. And over this moment, a sacred truth is spoken. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 7, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them." Let that settle deep into your spirit. The angel of the Lord encamps around you, not visits, not passes through, encamps, establishes presence, sets divine perimeter, a constant, watching protection that darkness cannot penetrate. The angels around you are not newly assigned, they are newly activated, heaven responds to obedience. And because you remained faithful in the dark, your covering has shifted in the light. This is why your spirit feels different. This is why your environment feels guarded. This is why your dreams have sharpened. Your intuition has heightened. Your atmosphere has changed. You are not walking alone. Every step you take from this point forward is accompanied by heavenly presence. You may not always sense it, but it is there. You may not always feel it, but it surrounds you. You may not always understand it, but it is active. Chosen one. The angels are moving, and their movement is the sign that what God has promised is beginning to unfold, not later, not someday, but now. You step forward. Chosen one, and the ground beneath your feet begins to feel different, lighter, warmer, no longer echoing with the hollow chill of the valleys you once walked through. For so long, it felt as though you were wandering under a sky that refused to break. Your life felt like a valley covered in shadows, stretching endlessly, swallowing your strength, muffling your prayers. But what you didn't realize was that valleys, as dark as they seem, are not dead places. They are wombs. They are soil-rich corridors where roots grow deeper than ever before. You were being planted, not buried. And now, you are rising. You can sense it in the way your thoughts have shifted like dawn filtering through cracks in a cave wall. You can feel it in the small bursts of hope that appear out of nowhere, like flowers blooming in soil that once felt barren. The valley that once felt like a prison is becoming a passageway. You aren't merely escaping the darkness, you are ascending from it with strength you didn't have before. Chosen one. Rising from a valley isn't a sudden leap. It's a gentle climb, like a traveler who has walked for days through fog and finally sees the outline of a mountain peak. You're beginning to realize the valley didn't diminish you, it defined you. It carved out resilience in you, the way rivers carve pathways through stone. It shaped humility in you, the way wind shapes cliffs. It taught you endurance, patience, and spiritual clarity in ways comfort never could. There were days when you felt like the valley swallowed your voice, but heaven heard every whisper, every fragment of prayer, every sigh, every moment when you pushed through, even though your soul felt threadbare. And now heaven releases this word over your rising, as the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 19, "The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights." Let this truth settle into you. The same God who walked with you in the valley is now strengthening your feet for the climb out of it. You are being empowered not only to leave the darkness, but to rise above it, to stand on heights you didn't know you were being prepared for. And as you rise, you may notice that pieces of who you used to be are falling away. Old insecurities, old fears, old patterns, old emotional weights. Think of it like climbing from a deep canyon with the sun rising at your back. The light exposes what no longer belongs to your journey. Shadows that once clung to you now stretch behind you instead of over you. The valley is losing its hold. You are ascending into clarity. You are ascending into strength. You are ascending into identity. You are ascending into light. And as you rise, something beautiful begins to happen. Your vision clears. Pain that once blinded you becomes wisdom. Memories that once wounded you become testimonies. Battles that once drained you become badges of survival. You aren't just leaving a valley, you're carrying the gold that was forged there. Chosen one. Rising from shadow valleys is not merely an escape, it is a transformation. It is the moment a seed breaks the earth. It is the moment a bird leaves the nest. It is the moment a prisoner walks free. It is the moment a sunrise touches a mountain peak for the first time. And now, as you rise, let me speak to your heart with sincerity, because messages like this, the creation of them, the pouring of time, breath, and spiritual labor into them, they exist because of people like you who value this journey. If this message has touched you, if you feel the rising in your spirit, if these words have helped you climb out of your valley, then I ask gently, from a place of gratitude, not pressure, support this mission. Like this message, so the light spreads further. Share it, so someone else lost in a valley can rise too. Subscribe so you don't walk alone on this path. And if you feel led to sow into this work, to help sustain and expand it, your donation becomes a seed that grows into future messages for souls who desperately need them. Your generosity, however small, keeps this light alive. It turns valleys into mountaintops for countless others. But hear me, your worth is never measured by what you give. Your rising is not purchased, it is promised. And you, chosen one, are stepping into that promise now. The valley is behind you. The climb is beneath you. The light is before you. And heaven walks with you. You continue forward. Chosen one. And as you do, something sacred begins to unfold before the eyes of your spirit, a revelation that has been waiting for the right moment, the right level of maturity, the right depth of obedience. Heaven does not reveal certain truths to the unprepared. Scrolls are not opened in the presence of casual wanderers. But you have been faithful. You have been tested. You have been refined. And now, the scroll with your name is being brought forth. In the unseen realm, there are records, heavenly documents written with purpose, intention, and divine authorship. These are not ordinary writings. They are blueprints, destinies, spiritual assignments, and heavenly decrees. Every chosen one has a scroll, a record of identity, calling, and promise. And though you may not have sensed it before, your scroll has been stored in the chambers of heaven, guarded, watched over, and waiting for the exact moment of release. That moment is now. The opening of your scroll is not a dramatic spectacle, it is a spiritual unveiling. It begins with realization, an inner knowing that you were never random, never forgotten, never living life by accident. You start to feel a shift inside you, like a memory rising that you've never lived yet. Somehow recognize, this is the scroll speaking. This is your name, echoing through the corridors of destiny. For so long, the enemy tried to distort your identity, hoping you would never discover who you truly are. He tried to bury your sense of purpose under pain, insecurity, chaos, and confusion. He tried to convince you that you were ordinary, replaceable, unworthy. But the enemy has always feared the day your scroll would be opened, because once a chosen one sees what heaven has written, darkness loses all power to deceive. And now, with the scroll unfolding, truths hidden from you begin surfacing. You notice it in subtle ways, a vision that flickers in your heart, a calling that grows stronger each day, a deep sense that you were meant for more than what you settled for, an inner voice whispering, this is who you really are. Lin, the scroll reveals your identity not as the world defines it, but as heaven designed it. It contains your spiritual lineage, every gift, every calling, every mantle prepared for your life. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are a written intention of God. And over this sacred moment comes a divine declaration. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 8. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. This is the signature written across your scroll, not abandonment, not uncertainty, not chaos, but companionship and divine guidance. The God who authored your life walks ahead of you, stands beside you, and guards the destiny written with your name on it. As the scroll continues to unroll, you begin to recognize that certain battles you faced were not punishments, they were protections. They were courses redirecting you back to what heaven wrote long before you took your first breath. Every delay, every closed door, every painful redirection was heaven protecting your destiny from being stolen, diluted, or distorted. You realize now that your spirit reacted strongly to certain environments, not because you were weak, but because your calling was too great to fit there. You outgrew places before you even lived fully in them. The scroll with your name refused to let you settle for anything beneath what God had written. Chosen one. There is a reason certain things didn't work out. A reason some relationships fell away. A reason opportunities dissolved. A reason you felt different, even among crowds. It's because your life follows a heavenly script, and heaven refuses to let earthly substitutes rewrite it. The scroll also reveals, promises things that were spoken over your life that you have not yet seen. And while the world may call them impossible, heaven calls them inevitable. What is written cannot be stolen. What is recorded cannot be erased. What is ordained cannot be stopped. And now, as this section of your journey closes, the scroll is not sealed shut. Again, it remains open. It is open because you are entering the season where what was written begins to manifest. You will feel alignment in ways you've never felt before. You will sense direction where there was once confusion. You will walk with purpose instead of wandering. To seal this revelation, perform one symbolic act, a spiritual acknowledgement that you are ready to step into what heaven has written. Comment the number 444 below. Not as a decoration, not as a habit, but as a declaration that you choose to align fully with the scroll bearing your name. Your destiny is written. Your path is opening. Your scroll is unfolding. And heaven walks before you. You continue walking forward. Chosen one. And as you do, a realization begins to rise gently within you, one that you may have sensed before but never fully embraced. You have been carrying light, even when no one was there to witness it. Your lonely seasons were not evidence of abandonment, they were evidence of assignment. There is a kind of light that is cultivated only in solitude, a purity of spirit that can only be formed in places where applause is absent, where validation is silent, and where your only companion is God himself. It may have felt like you were walking through empty halls of your own life, as if everyone else had a crowd, a support system, a circle of encouragement, while you had only the echo of your own footsteps. But heaven saw something different. Heaven saw a warrior being formed in isolation, a vessel being purified, a chosen soul being shaped in the hidden places where distractions cannot dilute destiny. Loneliness, for you, was never punishment. It was consecration. in those years of being misunderstood, overlooked, or misjudged. Something powerful was developing inside you, without realizing it. You were learning to carry light without needing to be seen. You were learning to stand without needing support. You were learning to believe without needing affirmation. These are qualities only the chosen carry, qualities forged in quiet classrooms where God teaches directly to the heart. The world often measures strength by public victories, but heaven measures it by private endurance. And you endured much. You learned how to protect your inner flame, even when winds of disappointment tried to snuff it out. You learned how to rise again after heartaches that left you breathless. You learned how to look toward heaven when earthly options failed you. You learned a strength that cannot be taught in comfort. It must be forged in solitude. And because of that, your light became different from others. Not loud, not theatrical, but steady, pure, unshakable, chosen one. This is why certain people didn't know how to handle you. They sensed the light, but didn't understand the source. They felt the strength, but couldn't comprehend the depth. They saw the resilience, but didn't realize it came from years of private battles fought in deep silence. You confused the darkness in others because your light was forged where darkness tried hardest to break you. There is a reason your presence unsettles the enemy even when you don't speak. There is a reason your spirit radiates calm even when you feel tired. There is a reason doors unlock simply because you step near them. You carry a light that does not come from human effort. It comes from divine molding. Most people want to shine publicly without being refined privately. But you carried light when no one was clapping, when no one applauded your growth, when no one acknowledged your sacrifices. That makes your light authentic, not performative, eternal, not emotional, heaven-breathed, not self-made. And this truth rests upon you now. Your lonely seasons created spiritual sight. You can see through deception because you once lived surrounded by it. You can recognize sincerity because you learned the weight of falsehood. You can discern intentions because your heart was wounded by pretenders. You can sense danger because you survived storms meant to drown you. Your solitude sharpened your discernment like a blade. And now that you're stepping into a season of visibility, that discernment will protect you. You will not fall for the traps you once stumbled into. You will not be fooled by the smiles that once disarmed you. You will not return to the environments that once drained your soul. You are wiser now, not by wisdom of age, but by wisdom of experience and revelation. In this quiet strengthening, a holy reminder rises. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 27, verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? This is why your light never died. It was never yours alone. God Himself sustained it in you. When your emotions dimmed, His strength kept you glowing. When exhaustion tried to smother you, His presence breathed on your flame. When disappointment darkened your surroundings, His salvation illuminated your spirit. Chosen one. Carrying light without witnesses was never meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. Because now, as heaven elevates you, the world will see a glow that is not fragile, not shallow, not dependent on attention, but a glow that survived darkness and grew stronger because of it. You are ready now, ready to shine with intention, ready to walk in identity, ready to be seen without losing yourself, ready to influence without dimming your truth, ready to lead without compromising purity. Your lonely seasons were not endings, they were foundations. And now, The one who carried light in the shadows is being prepared to illuminate nations. As you move further, chosen one, you begin to sense another shift, one that feels like chains loosening from your spirit, like weights you didn't even realize you were carrying, finally breaking apart. There is a moment in every chosen life when the things that once clung to you begin to fall away. Not because you fought harder, but because heaven declared, enough. You are entering that moment now, the breaking of old chains. These chains were subtle at first. They wrapped themselves around your thoughts, around your confidence, around your identity. Some came from wounds buried so deeply you thought you'd healed. Others came from expectations placed on you by people who never truly understood your calling. Some chains were inherited patterns passed down through families and environments that normalized dysfunction, and others were forged from your own fears, doubts, and hesitations. But regardless of their origin, they all had something in common. They were never meant to stay on you. Chosen one. The chains didn't break because you pretended to be strong. They broke because you survived long enough for God to intervene. They broke because you kept walking, even while dragging them behind you. They broke because your spirit, this bitter pressure, refused to surrender. You may have faltered, but you did not fall away. You may have cried, but you never quit. You may have doubted, but you never stopped reaching for God's hand. And heaven responds to that kind of resilience. Some of the chains were emotional memories that replayed without mercy, regrets that refused to die, disappointments that tried to define you. These emotional chains made you question your worth. They made you feel like you were too broken to be chosen. But the truth is this: the chains didn't cling to you because you were weak. They clung to you because you were powerful. The enemy saw your potential long before you did. Other chains were relational attachments to people who drained your spirit, connections that kept you stagnant, bonds that felt like comfort but were really cages. You tried to hold on because you cared. You tried to fix what wasn't yours to repair. You tried to love people into their healing. But some relationships were chains masquerading as responsibilities. Letting them go wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. And some chains were spiritual cycles, generational battles, burdens you inherited without choosing. These were the chains that felt the heaviest, the ones that made you wonder why certain struggles chased you all your life. But hear this with clarity. Generational weight is placed on those strong enough to break it. And you, chosen one, were the one chosen to end what others before you could not. Now heaven speaks over your liberation. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 2 declare, "For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has set you free from the law of sin and death." This is more than scripture. It is a verdict, a spiritual legal ruling, a divine announcement that the chains that once claimed you no longer have jurisdiction over your life. Freedom is not coming, it has already begun. You may notice shifts happening inside you that feel unfamiliar. You no longer tolerate what once drained you. You no longer remain silent in places where your voice matters. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You no longer settle for environments your spirit has outgrown. This is not rebellion. This is release. When chains break, you start walking differently. You start seeing differently. You start choosing differently. You start valuing differently. Your boundaries sharpen. Your self-respect strengthens. Your spirit becomes lighter. This is the evidence of liberation, not loud declarations. But, quiet, transformation. Chosen one. Breaking chains is not just about escaping the past. It is about becoming available for the future. It is about clearing the spiritual space around you so that heaven's plans can unfold. It is about removing the weights that prevented you from rising into the identity written on your scroll. Every broken chain is a doorway. Every released burden is a bridge. Every healed wound is a new beginning. And now, as you walk forward, you will feel this truth in your bones. You are no longer defined by where you've been. You are no longer held by what tried to bind you. You are no longer trapped in cycles that once felt unbreakable. The chains are gone not because you fought harder, but because heaven fought for you. You are stepping into a freedom that is spiritual, emotional, mental, and generational. You are rising with a weightlessness your soul has never known. You are becoming the version of you that was always meant to emerge. This is the season of release, and you, chosen one, are finally free. As you continue your journey, chosen one, a truth begins to rise with unmistakable clarity. Your light has never been ordinary. You may have thought your presence was subtle, that your spirit blended quietly into the world around you. But the unseen realm knew better. Your light has always been disruptive to darkness, even before you recognized its strength. There were moments when you entered a room and tension shifted without explanation. Conversations changed. Atmospheres changed. People became uneasy, or strangely honest, or unexpectedly emotional. You thought it was coincidence, or sensitivity, or intuition. But what you were feeling was spiritual resonance. Darkness recognizes divine light long before humans do. Your light terrifies what is hidden. It exposes. It reveals. It uproots what pretends to be harmless. This is why certain people mistreated you without cause. This is why jealousy rose against you, even when you did nothing wrong. This is why some individuals withdrew, acted cold, or attempted to undermine you. Your spirit confronted their shadows without you speaking a word. Chosen one. You are not intimidating because of your personality. You are intimidating because of your purity. You are not opposed because you did anything wrong. You are opposed because your very presence disrupts spiritual disorder. Darkness recognizes who you are even before you do. You survived attacks that were never logical, betrayals that made no sense, rejection that came from people who barely knew you. You survived emotional storms that others would have crumbled beneath. Why? Because your obedience, your endurance, and your resilience welded your spirit into something unshakable. The more you grew, the more darkness became uneasy. The more you healed, the more shadows retreated. The more you awakened, the more the enemy panicked. For the greatest threat to darkness is not loudness, it is clarity. A clear soul is a weapon, and heaven confirms this reality through sacred words. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 8, "For ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Walk as children of light." This is not who you are becoming, this is who you already are. This is why the enemy fought you so hard. This is why strange warfare followed your life. This is why confusion surrounded certain relationships. This is why you felt misunderstood even by those closest to you. Your light revealed too much. Not in an arrogant way, not in a forceful way, but in a holy, unavoidable, spiritual way. Your presence alone confronted lies. Your kindness exposed the emptiness in others. Your peace irritated the chaos that lived inside broken hearts. Your integrity highlighted dishonesty. Your growth made complacency uncomfortable. You didn't even know you were doing it. You were simply being yourself. But light cannot exist quietly. Even a small flame destroys darkness without trying. Chosen one. Now that the chains have broken and the scroll has opened, your light is increasing. It is becoming clearer, sharper, stronger, and with that increase, darkness is forced to move out of your way. Cycles that once trapped you are collapsing. Attacks that once overwhelmed you are failing. Patterns that once repeated are ending. Because light has authority, and your light carries divine backing. This is why your discernment has sharpened recently, why you sense deception faster, why your spirit recoils at environments you once tolerated, why you feel a holy discomfort in places you no longer belong. Your light is revealing not just the world around you, but the world within you. And hear this clearly. You are not meant to dim. You are not meant to shrink. You are not meant to apologize for the glow forged in suffering and sanctified by God. You are meant to stand, to carry, to illuminate paths not only for yourself, but for others who have forgotten their own strength. Your light is a calling. Your light is armor. Your light is evidence of heaven's investment in your journey. And now, as a declaration of agreement with this truth, I want you to write a phrase below, simple, under 4 words, but spiritually powerful. I stand firm. Comment it not as an echo, but as a seal, a reminder that your light is not fragile, a declaration that you will not shrink back, a spiritual stance that darkness can no longer cross. Chosen one. Your light terrifies darkness. And now that you know it, nothing will ever dim you again. As you continue, chosen one, something profound begins to unfold in the invisible realm around you. The atmosphere is no longer still. There is movement, purpose, and a sense of divine coordination. You may not see it with your physical eyes, but your spirit feels it like wind brushing across your soul. The angels are stepping into position. For a long time, you fought battles that felt one-sided. You stood in storms with no shelter. You walked through nights that seemed endless. But what you didn't realize was that heaven was training your spirit to recognize the sound of angelic movement. And now, that sound surrounds you. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady, like the wings of warriors aligning in formation. This is not imagination. This is orchestration. Heaven is positioning its forces around you the way a general arranges soldiers before a decisive victory. You can almost sense it, a shielding presence building behind you, a guiding force before you, a strengthening hand beside you. The angels are not just watching your journey, they are preparing the path ahead. There are moments now when you feel sudden clarity, as if fog lifts for a brief second. That is alignment. There are hours when you feel protected in ways you cannot explain. That is covering. There are situations that narrowly avoid disaster without your understanding why. That is intervention. Think of your life like a ship once tossed in storms. For years, you sailed through dark waters, waves crashing against your soul, trying to break your resolve. But now, as the angels take their positions, the waters begin to calm, not because the storms ended on their own, but because heaven placed its hands on the waves and told them, "Be still." Oh, or imagine your journey like a traveler walking through a dense forest. You could not see the path. You stumbled. You got scratched by branches you couldn't anticipate. But now, the angels are like lantern bearers, stepping ahead of you, lighting the narrow trail so your feet can walk on steady ground. You may feel a strange guidance, as though an unseen compass turns your heart in the right direction. You may escape dangers without knowing they were there. You may feel unusually protected, even on ordinary days. This is not coincidence, it is coordination. And heaven confirms this movement with sacred words. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Daniel in the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 19. Fear not, greatly beloved, peace be unto thee, be strong. Yea, be strong. This is not just encouragement, it is assignment. You are highly esteemed in the spiritual realm. That is why the angels move for you. That is why protection surrounds you. That is why heaven refuses to let you walk unguarded into your next season. Your calling carries weight. Your destiny carries consequence. Your life carries purpose that affects more than just you. And now, the angels of God are forming around you with precision. They are not scattered. They are not idle. They are standing in alignment, ready to escort you into the next chapter of your life. Every step ahead has already been prepared. Every obstacle has already been evaluated. Every attack has already been intercepted. Chosen one. You are stepping into a journey where you no longer walk alone. The unseen reinforcement you've been waiting for is already here. And because this message reaches you at such a pivotal moment, I speak to you from sincerity and reverence. These messages take devotion, time, and spiritual labor, crafted like lanterns meant to light your path. If they have strengthened you, encouraged you, or helped you rise from what once tried to break you, I ask gently, support this mission, like this message, not for numbers, but so the light travels further. Share it, because someone else is walking through the dark forest you just escaped. Subscribe, so you never miss the next lantern placed along your journey. And if you feel led to give, to donate, your offering becomes a seed that grows into future messages, reaching souls who are desperate for hope. Give only if your heart nudges you, never from pressure. You are not paying for blessing, you are fueling the light that guided you. Chosen one. The angels are stepping into formation. Your path is being secured. Your future is guarded. Your rise is protected by heaven itself. You walk onward. Chosen one. And the deeper you move into this unfolding season, the more clearly you begin to see something that once felt impossible to understand. The path you walked, every bruise, every detour, every heartbreak, every lonely mile was a path only you could walk. Not because you were doomed to struggle, but because your destiny required a journey that shaped qualities no ordinary road could develop. There is a kind of strength that can only be formed through suffering. There is a kind of wisdom that can only be carved through loss. There is a kind of purity that can only be refined through fire. And there is a kind of calling that can only be unlocked through battles designed for the chosen. Look back, not with regret, but with revelation. You survived things that destroyed others. You rose from places that looked like dead ends. You carried weight that would have broken people who seemed stronger than you. You endured emotional storms that no one knew were raging inside you. And now, for the first time, you can finally see your path was not random. It was precise, intentional, tailored to your spirit, crafted uniquely for the mantle you were designed to carry. Some threads of your story were painful, yes, but they were purposeful. They shaped you in ways comfort never could. Had your path been easy, your spirit would not hold the depth it carries now. Had your life unfolded smoothly, you would not have the discernment that now protects you. Had everyone supported you, you would not have learned to lean on heaven the way you do. Your suffering did not disqualify you, it prepared you. Chosen one. Understand this deeply. You walked a path no one else could have walked, because you were being built for a destiny no one else could fulfill. Think of the times you felt completely alone. Times when you didn't know how to move forward. When you cried out in silence. When you begged for an answer that never seemed to come. Those moments were not abandonment, they were training. God was not ignoring you. He was strengthening you. He was teaching you to hear His whisper over the noise of the world. He was teaching you to trust His timing over your desperation. He was teaching you that your foundation must be Him alone. And now you understand why certain people couldn't walk with you. They weren't meant to. Your journey demanded a different level of depth. Your spirit required experiences they were never built to endure. Your calling needed battles they were not equipped to fight. Not everyone can survive. The terrain meant to shape a chosen one. There were days when you felt like your journey was too heavy, too lonely, too unusual. You wondered why you weren't like others, why your life felt harder, why your battles felt sharper. But what felt like unfair difficulty was actually sacred preparation. Only those chosen for greater impact walk roads paved in pressure. And now heaven reveals to you a truth spoken long ago, as Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verse 48. To whom much is given, much will be required. This does not speak of burden, it speaks of destiny. It speaks of weight, because you were crafted to carry weight. It speaks of responsibility, because heaven entrusted you with spiritual authority. It speaks of calling because your life affects more than your immediate circle. It affects generations. It affects destinies. It affects realms you cannot yet see. The path no one else could walk became the foundation of the crown no one else can carry. Your resilience was not accidental. Your insight was not accidental. Your compassion was not accidental. Your spiritual strength was not accidental. They were all forged on that path. And now, you walk with a depth that others feel, even if they cannot name it. You speak with a clarity born from storms. You love with a softness carved from broken seasons. You stand with a steadiness that can only come from surviving battles meant to destroy you. Chosen one. The path you walked, though painful, made you into someone unshakable, someone irare, someone refined, someone anointed. You no longer question why your road was different. Now you understand. It was never meant to match the world. It was meant to match your calling. And the calling you carry is unlike any other. As you continue forward, chosen one, something begins to align around you with a precision that almost feels unreal. You are stepping into a season where what once resisted you now begins to yield, where what once delayed now accelerates, and where what once felt tangled now begins to straighten under the weight of divine order. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is elevation by heaven's design. For so long, it felt like life was moving around you. Not with you. You saw doors open for others, while yours remained sealed. You watched opportunities rise and fall, like waves you could never quite reach. You prayed. You prepared. You trusted. Yet the timing always seemed just one step away. Those were not denials, they were divine delays. Deliberate pauses until the moment your spirit, your character, and your calling aligned perfectly with heaven's blueprint. And now, they align. Elevation is not a sudden burst of blessing, it is a sequence of divinely arranged shifts. You may have already felt the early signs without recognizing them. A strange new confidence rising inside you. A clarity that wasn't there before. A quiet knowing that you are not who you were even months ago. The internal shifts always come before the external ones. And heaven has confirmed that the internal work is complete. The things that used to overwhelm you no longer hold the same power. The situations that once confused you now seem small. The people who once drained you no longer have access to your spirit. The mountains that once intimidated you now look like stepping stones. This change is not accidental. It is the mark of elevation. Chosen one. Elevation means heaven has evaluated your process and declared you ready, not perfect. Not flawless, but ready. Ready to handle responsibility you once feared. Ready to step into spaces you once felt unworthy of. Ready to receive blessings you once prayed for with trembling hands. Ready to hold what once would have slipped through your fingers. This is the season where alignment becomes visible. Paths that were blocked begin to open. Connections that once seemed impossible begin to form. Resources you lacked begin to appear. People drawn to your purpose begin to notice you without you seeking their attention. It is not that you changed the world, it is that heaven changed your atmosphere. And through the sacred texts, heaven speaks over this moment. The ancient words recorded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 2 declare, "I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of bronze and cut the bars of iron." These words are not poetic, they are governmental. They announce a divine restructuring of everything connected to your destiny. Crooked places straightened, barriers shattered, iron bars cut through. What once resisted you cannot resist the God who walks before you. Elevation is not just about rising, it is about rearrangement. God is rearranging your relationships, removing those who cannot go with you, drawing closer those who were always meant to walk beside you. God is rearranging your opportunities, closing doors that would distract you and opening ones tied to your calling. God is rearranging your identity, stripping away insecurity, hesitation, and fear, so you can stand with the authority heaven placed inside you. You might notice that people treat you differently now, not because you changed them, but because God changed the spiritual weight you carry. You are stepping into a version of yourself that was written long before you faced a single struggle. Your destiny is no longer in the distance, it is unfolding in real time. Chosen one. Elevation also comes with a shift in perspective. You start to see beyond circumstances. You start to recognize divine timing. You start to understand why the waiting was necessary, why the process was painful, why the delays were protection. Elevation brings revelation. The places that once rejected you will look unfamiliar now, not because they changed, but because you have outgrown them. What once felt like loss now looks like liberation. What once felt like confusion now looks like orchestration. Every unanswered prayer makes sense when the answer finally arrives in divine timing. And now, as you step fully into this season of elevation, Heaven asks you to acknowledge this alignment, not for others, but for your spirit. A symbolic act of agreement. A declaration that you step willingly into the heights prepared for you. Comment the number 555 below. A new number, a new declaration, a new season. Let it be a spiritual marker that you agree with the elevation unfolding in your life right now. Chosen one. You are rising not by chance, not by effort, but by divine order. As you continue, chosen one, the atmosphere around you begins to hum with a quiet but unmistakable power, a sense that something long withheld, long delayed, long entangled in spiritual resistance is finally loosening its grip. You are stepping into the season of restoration, not the kind the world gives, but the kind heaven orchestrates with precision, intention, and irreversible authority. This is the restoration of the chosen. For years, it felt like life took more than it gave. Dreams slipped from your hands before you had a chance to hold them. Relationships you poured yourself into drained, you dry. Opportunities that once seemed promising dissolved without warning. Pieces of your heart were left scattered across seasons you never wanted to enter. But hear this clearly. Not one loss went unseen by heaven. Not one tear. Not one heartbreak. Not one injustice. Every place where you were left empty created a space heaven now intends to fill. Restoration is not simply returning to what was lost. It is receiving what should have been yours from the beginning. God does not restore to the original state. He restores to the intended state. And when heaven restores, it does not return things in the condition they were taken. It releases them in a greater, purified, more powerful form. You may feel a strange sensation in your spirit lately, as if parts of you that were numb are waking up again. Desires you buried are resurfacing. Strength you thought was gone is returning. Hope that once flickered is beginning to burn. These are not emotional fluctuations. They are signs that restoration has begun. Think of a broken vessel mended with gold, its cracks no longer weaknesses, but lines of beauty. That is what heaven is doing in you. Your scars are not being erased. They are being rewoven into destiny. The places where you were torn open are becoming the places where God pours the most glory. There are pieces of you that were stolen through manipulation, betrayal, trauma, discouragement, confusion, but heaven never forgot them. And one by one, they are being returned. Some through healing, some through closure, some through opportunities, some through awakening, but all through the hand of God. And over this moment, Scripture speaks with authority, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. This is not a metaphor, it is a decree, a promise from the mouth of God himself, a statement that the years you thought were not wasted at all. They are being restored in ways you never imagined. Restoration of time, restoration of joy, restoration of confidence, restoration of identity, restoration of opportunities, restoration of everything that darkness tried to steal. Chosen one. Restoration often begins quietly. It begins with subtle shifts. You suddenly feel lighter. You forgive without forcing yourself. You no longer crave what once wounded you. You wake up with a sense of anticipation rather than dread. You feel your spirit expanding into spaces you once thought were closed to you. This is heaven preparing the ground. Restoration also means divine repayment, not as revenge, but as justice. Every season where you were overlooked is becoming a season where you are seen with clarity. Every moment where you were undervalued is becoming a moment where your worth is undeniable. Every place where you were rejected is becoming a place where honor recognizes you. There were people who misunderstood you, and heaven is lifting that weight. There were situations that drained you, and heaven is reversing their effects. There were words spoken against you, and heaven is undoing their power. There were opportunities that slipped through your fingers, and heaven is placing new ones in your hands. Restoration is heaven's way of saying, I never forgot what you lost. I never forgot who hurt you. I never forgot how you endured. And now, I am returning everything better, stronger, multiplied. You will not return to who you were before the pain. You will become someone far greater, someone wiser, someone clearer, someone empowered. Restoration is not going backward. It is stepping into the version of you the pain tried to prevent. It may surprise you when blessings begin to emerge from unexpected directions. People you never imagined will speak life into you. Opportunities you didn't chase will find you. Doors you thought were sealed will open as if they never resisted you at all. This is how heaven restores quietly at first. Then suddenly, then overwhelmingly, chosen one. You are not receiving scraps. You are receiving justice. You are not receiving leftovers. You are receiving abundance. You are not receiving pieces. You are receiving wholeness. The story of your life will not be marked by what was taken, but by what was returned. And now, with heaven moving, with the scroll open, with the angels positioned, the restoration of the chosen is touching your life. Everything that once broke you will become the very evidence of God's hand upon you. You are stepping into restoration, not someday, not eventually, but now. As you step further into this unfolding journey, chosen one, something remarkable begins to awaken within you, your voice. Not the voice you use in casual conversation, not the voice shaped by circumstance, but the deeper, spiritual voice forged through every battle you've survived. This voice is not merely sound, it is authority. It is clarity. It is weight that has been earned, not given. For too long, you walked through seasons where your voice felt suppressed. You stayed silent to keep peace, to avoid conflict, to protect others at the cost of your own truth. You swallowed words that should have been spoken. You carried emotions that should have been released. And while the world may have seen your silence as passivity, heaven saw it as gathering strength, like an arrow being pulled back before its release. Now, your voice is no longer soft with uncertainty. It has grown sharp with discernment, steady with conviction, and anchored with truth. The wounds you survived have become wisdom. The confusion you endured has become clarity. The attacks you faced have become ammunition for spiritual authority. You do not speak from theory, you speak from experience. When someone who has never suffered speaks, their voice may be heard, but seldom felt. But when someone who has walked through fire speaks, every word carries flame. You, chosen one, carry flame. Your voice has become a weapon not because it destroys, but because it reveals. When you speak now, you expose deception. You dismantle lies. You bring clarity to confusion. Your presence shifts rooms, but your words shift atmospheres. Your voice does not need to be loud. It only needs to be true. For truth spoken from a refined spirit carries divine resonance. Think of all the times you tried to express yourself before, but felt unheard. People brushed off your feelings. They dismissed your insight. They minimized your intuition. But heaven heard you. Heaven honored what people ignored. Heaven saw the attempts you made to speak, even when pain made your voice tremble. And now, heaven strengthens your voice so it can no longer be ignored. There is a sound rising within you that carries healing. When you speak from your scars, others will recognize themselves in your words. Your compassion will soften hearts that have grown cold. Your honesty will free those trapped in shame. Your authenticity will give others permission to breathe again. Chosen one, you are becoming a voice that breaks chains, not through preaching, not through shouting, but through truth wrapped in empathy, through wisdom carried in gentleness, through power expressed in humility. And over this moment of awakening, Scripture shines brightly, as the prophet Jeremiah declared in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 9. Then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, I have put my words in your mouth. This is what has been happening to you. Heaven has been preparing your mouth for words aligned with destiny. Not rehearsed words, anointed words. Not forced wisdom, divinely poured wisdom. Not empty encouragement, spiritual ammunition. Your voice will not only guide others, it will guide you. It will steady you in moments of doubt. It will remind you of who you are when the world tries to make you forget. It will echo with the authority of someone who has walked through darkness and returned, carrying light. You will find yourself speaking differently, more intentionally, more boldly, more precisely. You will no longer waste words on explanations that drain you or arguments that go nowhere. Your voice will carry purpose. It will carry assignment. It will carry destiny. And your silence, too, will become powerful. You will choose when to speak and when to listen. You will sense when a moment requires your voice and when it requires your presence. You will discern when to declare truth and when to guard your energy. This is spiritual maturity. This is divine refinement. This is the awakening of your authority. Your voice is becoming a weapon, not of destruction, but of freedom. It will cut through confusion like a sword and break chains like a hammer. It will comfort. It will confront. And it will call forth destiny. Most importantly, it will carry the sound of someone who found God in the dark and now walks in the light with unshakable certainty. Chosen one, your voice is no longer the echo of your past. It is the trumpet of your calling. And heaven has already begun to amplify it. You move further into your journey. Chosen one. And suddenly, something begins to settle upon your spirit, weighty, holy, undeniable. It is not a feeling. It is not an emotion. It is a divine recognition. You are being crowned in a realm most people never perceive. Not with earthly crowns made of metal and jewels, but with the unseen glory that marks those who have walked through fire and come out carrying heaven's fragrance. A spiritual crown is not placed on the head of the untested. It is reserved for the ones who endured what others fled from, who remained pure in environments designed to poison them, who chose righteousness when compromise was easier, who stayed faithful when life offered every reason to quit. You are such a one. This crowning did not happen suddenly. It began the moment you passed tests you didn't even recognize as tests. It grew each time you forgave what wounded you, It shone brighter each time you rejected bitterness. It strengthened each time you obeyed God while standing in shadows. Now, heaven lifts that crown fully into place. Being crowned in unseen glory means heaven recognizes you long before earth does. It means your spirit carries a radiance others can feel but cannot name. It means doors open not because of your credentials, but because of the spiritual authority resting upon you. You are shifting from surviving to standing, from wounded to warrior, from unseen to appointed. And heaven affirms this elevation through sacred words. As the apostle wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "There is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day." Chosen one, when heaven crowns you, the world responds in ways you may not expect. Some will be drawn to you without understanding why. Some will feel uneasy, not because you did anything wrong, but because your light exposes their shadows. Some will honor you instinctively. Some will envy you instinctively. This is what happens when someone walks with a mantle. A mantle changes atmosphere. A crown carries weight. You may notice people suddenly seeking your advice, your presence, your insight. You may find that individuals who once dismissed you now look to you for clarity. You may sense that conflicts that once overwhelmed you now feel small beneath the authority resting on your spirit. Your crown is not seen with the eyes, it is felt with the soul. Imagine a lamp hidden beneath a cloth. When the cloth is lifted, the light doesn't struggle to shine. It simply reveals what it always was. That is what is happening to you now. Heaven is uncovering what was always within you. Or imagine a seed buried in deep soil. It doesn't fight the darkness, it grows in it. And one day, it rises with a beauty created by the very pressure that once surrounded it. Your crown is the bloom of every buried season you survived. Your journey has carved depth into you. Your suffering has carved compassion. Your trials have carved authority. Your endurance has carved spiritual maturity. This crown is not a reward for perfection, it is a recognition of transformation. And because a message like this finds you at such a sacred point, allow me to speak from the most sincere part of this mission. These writings, these messages, these moments of spiritual alignment, they are crafted with weight and intention, like lanterns placed along your path. If they have lifted you, strengthened you, or helped you see your journey with new clarity, I offer this gently, humbly, humanly. Support this work if it has supported you. Like this message, not for vanity, but to spread light further into places where darkness still reigns. Share it so another chosen one, wandering in silence, can find their crown. Subscribe so you never miss the next step in the journey heaven is walking you through. And if you feel led, if your heart nudges, if your spirit whispers, your donation becomes a seed that allows this mission to continue reaching those who need it most. Give only if it comes from peace, never from pressure. Your crown does not depend on what you give, but your support helps place crowns on countless others. And before you move into the next section, let me invite you to comment something simple yet powerful. A phrase that acknowledges the moment heaven places upon your spirit. I receive it. Write it not as routine, but as agreement, as acceptance of the crown you've earned through every battle you survived, as recognition of the glory resting upon you now. Chosen one. Stand tall. You are crowned, not someday, not symbolically, but now, in unseen glory that heaven itself affirms. You walk onward, chosen one, and with every step you take, the light within you grows steadier, no longer flickering like a candle in the wind, but rising like the quiet, unwavering glow of dawn breaking over a long, silent horizon. Something has changed in you, not suddenly, but steadily, like a seed pushing through the soil, like a star emerging from behind thick clouds. You are carrying light in a way you never have before. This light is different from the light you carried in earlier seasons. Back then, your light was more of a flicker, fragile, easily shaken, vulnerable to the storms around you. You fought to protect it, cupping your hands around your spirit as winds of disappointment, betrayal, confusion, and grief tried to extinguish what God placed inside you. But you held on. You guarded your flame. And because you did, heaven has expanded it. Where once your light was a spark, now it is a flame. Where once your flame was small, now it is becoming a torch. Where once you needed protection, now you are the protection, bringing illumination to the places that were once dark to you. Chosen one. This light you now carry is not ordinary. It is not emotional optimism. It is not momentary inspiration. It is strength forged from struggle, clarity shaped by pain, wisdom carved from warfare. The light you carry has memory. It remembers who you were before the storm, who you became through the storm, and who you are after the storm. And because of that, your light carries a spiritual authority that cannot be imitated or manufactured. This is why the world feels different to you now. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Your discernment is sharper. Your peace is deeper. Your reactions are calmer. Your boundaries are firmer. Your sensitivity to truth is heightened. Your tolerance for darkness has dissolved. You find yourself noticing things you once ignored: energies, motives, intentions. You feel the shift in a room before anyone else senses it. Your spirit recognizes deception even when words sound sweet. You sense danger long before your mind can explain it. This is because your light now functions like a spiritual radar, revealing what once hid in plain sight. And heaven confirms this transformation through the sacred scripture, as Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 12, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in the darkness, but have life's light." This light of life now pulses through you, not as theory, not as doctrine, but as lived reality. You have walked in darkness before, and yet you never became it. You have passed through valleys of deep shadow, but your spirit never surrendered to the abyss. You followed the faint voice of God through tunnels that felt endless, and now you emerge, carrying the very light that guided you. This light is not loud. It does not need to shout to be seen. It does not need to prove itself to be felt. It simply shines, and whatever is not aligned with truth must shift, reveal itself, or leave. Chosen one. You may notice that some people around you are responding differently. Some feel drawn to you without explanation. Some open up as if their spirit trusts you instantly. Some behave nervously or defensively, unsure why they feel unsettled. Some distance themselves without reason. This is not personal, it is spiritual. Light attracts what is genuine and exposes what is false. You are becoming a walking revelation. Your presence reveals hearts. Your words awaken dormant spirits. Your silence convicts those hiding behind illusions. You do not try to do this. It happens simply because your light has matured. And this light within you is not only for others, it is for you. It is guiding you into new decisions, new relationships, new environments. It is showing you who you can trust and who cannot walk with you further. It is illuminating the path ahead quietly, steadily, faithfully. The light you now carry is preparing you for your next level of influence. Not influence built on fame or recognition, but on spiritual weight. People will look to you not because you demand attention, but because your life carries answers their souls have been seeking. Your light is becoming a refuge for those in darkness, a compass for those who are lost, a reminder that survival is possible, healing is possible, transformation is possible. Most importantly, your light is becoming a testimony, one written not in words but in aura, presence, and peace. You are living proof that God can pull a soul from shadows and turn them into a lighthouse. Chosen one. The light you carry now is not temporary. It is not fragile. It is not reliant on seasons. It is the light of someone who has walked with God long enough to understand. Darkness may threaten, but it cannot win. Storms may come, but they cannot swallow. Shadows may fall, but they cannot stay, because you carry light, and that light carries you. You step into the final stretch of this journey, chosen one, and something extraordinary begins to settle around you, an awareness that you are no longer walking the way you once did. The weight of old seasons has lifted. The fog that once clouded your path has cleared. The battles that once felt constant now feel distant, like storms that have moved far beyond the horizon. And in their place, something else has arrived, a holy companionship. For the first time, you are beginning to sense what it truly means to walk with angels beside you. This is not a poetic image. It is not symbolic language meant to comfort your emotions. It is a spiritual reality. You are not walking into your future alone. You are not stepping into your next season, unprotected or unprepared. Heaven has assigned an escort, an alignment of holy beings whose sole purpose is to guide you, guard you, and help you fulfill what was written about your life before you were formed. There were years when you felt isolated in your walk, as if every step forward was taken with trembling hands and an exhausted heart. You wondered why help never came when you needed it most. You wondered why no one seemed to understand the depths of your battles. You wondered why God allowed you to walk through paths that felt far too heavy for one person to carry. But what you didn't know then is what you are beginning to understand now. Your isolation was temporary. Your solitude was seasonal. Your loneliness was preparation, not punishment. And now, because you endured, because you stayed faithful, because you allowed your spirit to be shaped rather than broken, heaven has drawn near in a new way. You may feel it in strange yet comforting ways, those moments when a destructive thought is silenced before it settles, when a sense of danger vanishes without explanation, when your spirit feels held, even though your circumstances have not yet shifted. These are signs of angelic presence, quiet yet powerful. When you walk into a place and feel suddenly guarded, that is them. When clarity rises in you, at the exact moment confusion tries to claim your mind, that is them. When peace wraps around you like a cloak after a moment of unexpected fear, that is them. When strength fills you in an instant, without reason. That is them. They are near, not occasionally, not briefly, but continually. Not because you are fragile, but because you are chosen. Not because you are weak, but because your calling commands protection. Heaven confirms this truth with timeless words. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 20. Behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place I have prepared. This scripture is not a distant promise, it is your present reality. The angels are not walking behind you, they are walking before you. They are not merely observing, they are guiding. They are not simply watching, they are preparing the places ahead. And because of their presence, you will begin to notice changes in your path. Obstacles that once triggered fear now become irrelevant. Confusion that once clouded your decisions now dissolves. Voices that once discouraged you lose their power. Attacks that once overwhelmed you cannot reach you anymore. You are walking differently because you are no longer walking alone. This companionship does not make you invincible in pride, but unshakable in purpose. It does not eliminate challenges, but it eliminates defeat. It does not remove battles, but it guarantees victory. Chosen one. Walking with angels beside you means you are now aligned with heaven in a way that changes everything. You no longer move as a wounded survivor. You move as a divinely escorted carrier of purpose. You no longer navigate life blindly, you navigate with spiritual precision. You no longer fear the unknown. The unknown fears the light that travels with you. Your journey ahead will feel guided, supported, and protected in ways you have never experienced before. You will step into spaces prepared long before you arrive. You will meet people whose spirits recognize something holy resting upon you. You will enter seasons that unfold with divine timing, so exact you will know instantly. Heaven walked here first. And as you continue this walk day by day, step by step, remember this truth. Your journey is no longer defined by what you escaped, but by what escorts you. You are no longer marked by the darkness you survived, but by the light that walks with you. You are no longer identified by old battles, but by the presence of angels assigned to your path. Chosen one. You move forward now under divine escort. And because heaven walks with you, nothing ahead can stop what has already begun within you. Chosen one. Pause for a moment and breathe. You have traveled through every section of this journey with an open spirit, a listening heart, and a willingness to receive what heaven has been whispering over your life. And now, as you stand at the end, something sacred settles around you, not an ending, but a beginning, a doorway, a threshold into a new chapter shaped by light, clarity, strength, and divine companionship. Everything you have walked through in this script was meant to awaken the deeper truth inside you. You are chosen, you are guided, and you are rising into the fullness of who you were always meant to become. Not by chance, not by effort alone, but by heaven's hand on your life. You have felt the shift in your thinking, in your spirit, in your confidence, in your understanding of who you are. This journey was not just words, it was alignment. And before you go, I want to speak to you from the most genuine place in my heart. If this message touched you, lifted you, strengthened you, or reminded you of who you truly are, then let your presence be known. It helps more than you realize. Like this message, so the light reaches further. Share it because someone else is standing where you once stood, searching for a word that brings them back to life. They wrapped themselves around your thoughts, around your confidence, around your identity. Some came from wounds buried so deeply you thought you'd healed. Others came from expectations placed on you by people who never truly understood your calling. Some chains were inherited patterns passed down through families and environments that normalized dysfunction, and others were forged from your own fears, doubts, and hesitations. And heaven is not done speaking.